uh, package coming our way." I said, "What?" I said, "I didn't order anything. Did you?" I said, "No." So I'm looking at it. It's a text.
Mm.
And with an email, I know I can look and see where it came from and all that, but can you do that with text to
No.
see? No. And there is a link there to uh to click on, and there is a button that says manage and all that. And I said, "What in the world?" And I said, "No. I mean, first of all, if you didn't order it, why are they texting you?" Because
I get those, but from Amazon. So I'll get text messages that are supposedly from Amazon saying my package is on the way or whatever.
yeah,
And Amazon, they might text me. I don't know.
they
But
do.
yeah, yeah. But the text messages, I just ignore it. And
Yeah,
because Amazon always sends me an email notification.
right.
So I always just look at the email notification, and whatever I get as a text message, I just assume that it's probably not it's probably
Good.
spam. Even if it's not spam, I still don't even click on it because it's so easy to get a text message
Mhm.
because it's not filtered. But emails are filtered. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's somebody has to come up with the solution for this, and I understand it's not easy, and I understand it's if it's going to happen, it's going to be a real hit to the industry, and it is an industry. But maybe that's why they're not doing it. I don't know, but be aware, and especially now during the holiday season, shopping and all that. Watch it. Watch it. It's not funny. All right, Nick,
Okay,
you
Amnon?
you ready for specials?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, show me all the stuff that I need to buy, even though I shouldn't
I got
be
a couple
spending
good things
money.
here.
I want only coupon stuff today.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, Amnon.
Yeah, no, I mean, just give me a break here. This is NDI, remember.
There you go. All right.
That looks
So-
like my system.
All right, here we go. Computers 2K now specials. Let's see, just over 2 weeks. Actually, 2 weeks here ahead of Christmas. That's exciting. I got a picture of Gal's room and put that here in specials. As you can see here, he's got a really nice Christmas tree he built with old network switches and other appliances using different
but,
colored cat cables.
That's not mine. Mine is spread out like a Chanukiah, like a menorah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess this was I was sent this and I was told it was Gal's. So I guess that was incorrect. You could see it. Amnon probably could do this with all the
I mean, I was just thinking
equipment that
that.
he's got. It'd be
Yeah.
great. So there you go. That's I found this on a IT Facebook page that I'm in, so I thought that was pretty cute.
Mhm.
Pretty interesting look there. All
I
right,
don't know.
let's jump
I don't
into
think
it this
it works though. Looks like there's some circular connection there. I don't know.
All right.
All right. Let's start it off here at B&H Photo. Every couple of weeks we have an item from them. This is the Acer Aspire 15.6-inch notebook from Acer. It's silver. It's got a 12th gen i3 processor. So for our friend Gal and who's been advocating for these, that's a great start to see. 8 gigabytes of RAM, not perfect, but perfectly fine for a good chunk of use. 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD, which is nice. Full 1080p LCD display. You can get this over at B&H for just $329. This is normally $450. So you're saving about $120 on that. Because it is a 15.6 inch, it does have a numpad built into it. So if you're somebody that does a lot of number crunching stuff, this might be a decent portable machine for you. Not a powerhouse of a machine, but a really nice Windows 11 machine with some decent specs. $329 is pretty hard to beat. Check that out over at B&H Photo. Next up is an HP laptop. I'm not a big fan of HP, but I know a lot of folks like HP, so I threw it in here. This is yet another 15.6-inch laptop, so a big boy here with the full numpad on it. This one has pretty similar specs, except it's an 11th Gen Core i3 processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM, but this one does have some nicer creature comforts than the other one, even though it's a little bit cheaper. It's got a backlit keyboard and some things like that. But this is last gen, but it's also a little bit cheaper. So you can get this for $299, save $220 on it over at Target. And you might be able to buy it in store. I couldn't find any, but you can get it shipped directly from Target there. So check that out. Next up is a Hisense TV. You can see from their image here, the official sponsor of the FIFA World Cup over in Qatar. This is a Google TV. So if you're a Google Smart TV fan, pretty hard to beat here price-wise. This television has got an antenna, cable jack, AV for hooking up an older device, 4 HDMI ports. One of them is 120 hertz. The other 3 are 60 hertz at 4K. So you can get high refresh rate on one of the ports. It's got digital audio via Toslink optical, and then a headphone jack plus a Ethernet connection with it as well. This is a 65-inch 4K quantum dot smart TV from Hisense for just $498. Save about $200 on that, available over at Walmart. Next up, if that's a little bit too big or you're not looking for something that snazzy, how about this? Here's a Philips brand Roku smart TV. This is still a 50-inch 4K 2160p smart TV from Philips with Roku built into it, which is really cool. In terms of ports on this television, you get 3 HDMI ports. I believe all of them support 4K. I do not believe it supports eARC, though, so you'll have to handle your audio in a different fashion. 60 hertz is the max refresh rate of this television, but for the price of just $198, it's pretty hard to beat. So yeah, it's got 3 HDMI ports, a USB, an antenna. It's got composite built right into it, Ethernet and Toslink digital audio as well for hooking up a sound bar or a surround sound system. Hard to beat for $198, available over at Walmart. Next up, this is a cool device. I will admit I don't know anything about this brand, but it does have it has a whole bunch of reviews on Amazon, and it is the #1 bestseller in office desks and workspaces on Amazon. So obviously somebody's buying this, and this thing is at a hell of a deal. This is the Flexi Spot, or the Flexi Spot standing desk. This is normally $300 with a coupon code and a 75% off coupon. You can get it for $150. The workspace is 55 by 28 inches. It is fully adjustable. It's got programmable presets, and it'll move up and down. Maximum is 48.5 inches high, and the minimum the minimum distance it goes to the ground is 28.6. It's got some cut throughs for cable management. You can mount a power strip under it so that you can get everything managed nicely. Again, this is the #1 that people are buying on Amazon, and it's on sale for just $150. So if you're interested in getting into the standing desk ecosystem, pretty hard to beat here, again, with a very reputable brand. Check this out over on Amazon. You can actually get it here before Christmas, so that's pretty cool as well. Next up, Katie was bragging about how she loves her new monitor, and I've had a couple of curved monitors now for a few years. Here's a really great deal over at Office Depot Office Max, which doesn't make its way into specials a whole lot these days. This is the Acer 23.6-inch full HD curved LED LCD monitor that's running at a 16:9 aspect ratio. It is 1080p. Some other curved monitors like mine are 1440p. This one is just 1080p, but it's only 24 inches, so that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. In terms of ports on this, it's got DVI, HDMI, and DisplayPort. It supports FreeSync. The brightness is 250 nits, 4 milliseconds delay, but it does support 144 hertz refresh rate. So this is a high refresh rate monitor, great for gaming. And you can pick up 2 of these. They're only $99 a piece, so you can pick up 2 of these for $200 and have 2 brand new curved monitors right there on your desk. Check that out at Office Max, Office Depot. I will note you can only buy 8 total, according to a commenter on Slick Deals. They were only allowed to buy 8. So be advised.
I want to say a curved monitor is 100% worth it. I thought it might be overhyped, but I've had mine now for 2 weeks, and I'm never going back to a regular monitor.
It's pretty hard to beat. And again, we're not talking about like a curved monitor that surrounds your whole face. It's a very subtle curve, but you don't realize how useful it is until you're sitting in front
It's
of it.
absolutely amazing, especially if you play games. Like, it's so great. Mine is 34 inches, and I got it at Costco for $180. So, anyways,
And I believe yours is more of a gaming centric monitor. Is that correct?
it's a Dell.
Okay, then I guess not. It's probably
It's a regular. I mean, it's the same as that, where it's HD 16:9, and it doesn't go past
just much
1080.
larger.
Yeah, just much larger. And yes, I could see pixel blurriness and stuff like that, but honestly, I didn't want to dish out over $200 for a curved monitor, so this was perfect for what I'm looking for.
Check that out over at Office Depot, Office Max. All right, next up. Got this whole second half of the catalog is kind of maybe some cool Christmas gifts for family and friends. We'll start it off here with a battery backup. Not many, a lot of folks in the tech sphere have this, but your general consumer might not. And let's be clear, UPS is not only good for your computers and whatnot. You'll put this on your router and modem. You could even put this at your TV center for your cable box, your television, and all that other stuff. Maybe you've got game consoles that are susceptible to power spikes. You could throw this on your whole entertainment system and make sure that if the power flickers, not all your stuff reboots. This is a 425 VA battery backup APC brand. This thing's normally $75, and you can check it out at Amazon right now for just $42. That's nearly 45% off. This is a really, really good deal on a battery backup. This is Amazon's choice in uninterruptible power supplies. It's got over 8,000 reviews, and it has 4.6 stars. I've had a couple of these. These are really, really nice devices. Check it out over at Amazon. Next up is the Romos Sense 8 Plus 3,000 milliamp power bank. I have this. I bought it a couple of months ago on special. I should have pulled it out. It's in my backpack.
Not 3,000, 30,000.
Excuse me, 30,000. Yes, I've got this device. I've been very happy with it. It is bulky because it is 30,000 milliamps. But if you are somebody that could potentially need this charge on the go, this is what you expect if you want these amount of charges. This thing will charge an iPhone 8 12.5 times, a Samsung S9 7.2 times, an iPad Pro 4 times, and a Nintendo Switch 4 times as well. They claim that you charge this for about a day, 11 hours to recharge at 18 watts or 21 hours at 5 volts, 2 amps. So it will take a while to recharge. Again, it's 30,000 milliamps. Check this out over at Amazon for $24. I'll show what it looks like coming up after the specials.
The long period you're talking about is to recharge the pack itself, not
correct.
The iPhone,
the full device.
Yeah,
which will take a while at 5 volts. It's a lot of battery, a lot of capacity there. Thought this was kind of a cool device. If you've got a computer that is a couple of years old, but you built it out, maybe you're looking to add Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to it. This is a cool device. This is the Wavelink AX3000. It's a Wi-Fi 6 PCIe card that also has Bluetooth. And one of the cool things about this one is this is more of I know some other brands make these devices. This one's got this appears to be more of a high-end device. It's got a nice heat sink on it so that the card isn't getting too hot. It's got a nice external antenna for both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi 6. So if you're trying to turn a desktop into more of a portable device in terms of not having Ethernet, maybe for a home theater PC or something that's in a section of your house where you don't have Ethernet available, and you also get the added function of Bluetooth, you can do this for just $29.99. This device is normally $70, so you're saving 57%, and that's available over at Newegg.
That is a great
Next
price.
up.
That is a great price.
Yeah, it is a great price.
For the
That's
functionality and quality. Great price.
the TP-Link device is that price, and I will say that this device is much higher class than a TP-Link device. So you're getting a more of an industrial style device for that price. Thought this was a pretty cool device. This is a Eufy brand, EUFY. They make a whole bunch of different things. This is, and I had to look at this a couple of times and then read the description a couple of times. This is the Eufy Security Garage Control Cam Plus. So this is not a smart garage door opener, but what it is a device that you mount next to your garage door opener. You can see there it's got a camera built onto it, and it essentially gives you the opportunity to take your dumb garage door opener and wire the relays to this so that you can control it via a smartphone, a tablet, or through some system like Home Assistant or something else. It's got the camera in it, so you get your security side on as well if somebody comes into your garage. And it also has a smart sensor with it. Now, it does work. There are certain brands that it works with out of the gate with, I guess some of these devices have learn buttons. But if you have an older garage door, you can simply wire the relays that you would use for your button on the wall through this device as well. So check this thing out. It's normally $129. You get it for $99. It also comes with the SD card for it to store the video as well. So you get notifications when your garage door is open. You can close it remotely. This might be the next step in your home automation, home security system. Check it out over at Amazon. This is an item that you might think, wow, $200 or $100 for a coffee mug. What the hell? Well, this is not just your regular hot plate coffee mug. This thing actually has a battery in it. And you put it on the hot plate or the coaster to charge it. And once it is charged, you set the temperature of the drink that you want, and this thing will keep it that temperature. So let's say you want it set to, it'll do temperatures between 120 and 145 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's say 120 degrees, you can get, it can be off of the coaster and keep that temperature for up to 80 minutes. Or if it's at your desk, you leave it on the coaster, it's continually charging, and you're good to go with it. So if you are really particular about the temperature of your drink, tea, coffee, something warm, this is the Ember Temperature Control Smart Mug. So instead of smart toilets, we're getting smart mugs. This is 14 ounces, and it's available over at Best Buy for just $99.
So the mug is the battery. The coaster is connected.
A charger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charger's connected to, let me see. I assume it's
probably some kind of USB.
Volts. I'm not sure what it is.
All right.
I'll look.
No,
it says power adapter, so it plugs into the wall.
Okay.
So the coaster, like a regular coffee mug heater, plugs into 120 volts, and then it can keep the mug. You can have it off the charging pad for 80 minutes, and it'll hold the temperature, which is pretty cool.
I was at Costco the other day, and they had this for the same price, $99. And when I saw the box, I was like, who the hell is buying a coffee heater, whatever, for $100? I didn't realize that you could take the mug with you and it would still heat. But
it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought it was like just the charger, and that was just the packaging. It just had that image, and it said $99 on top of it, and it was like, no thanks. But now
this was similar to the garage door opener. I had to look at this a couple of times too, because I just ordered for Christmas. I got a hot plate for my coffee mug, and it was like $17, and I was like, well, how good could this thing be? But yeah, it's cool. So it'll if you're if you're somebody that is particular about this, you need something like this, you can go ahead and get it. Next up, you can find RGB strips all over the place. They're very, very cheap. But not many of them have the opportunity to control remote. Many of them have this little RGB remote that you can see on the screenshot here, where it uses IR. You point it at the device and you can change the color. Those things are a dime a dozen. This is the Day Better cheap Chinesium LED strip. It's 100 feet. And unlike the cheaper ones, this actually connects via Wi-Fi. The little RGB controller hub can connect to a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi network. So you can set up timing functionalities, for example, for it to turn on and off at certain times of the day. Through the TUA, TUYA app, you can connect it to your A word or your G word and control it via that. This is normally a $40 strip because it's got some of that added functionality. You can check it out over at Amazon for just $18.99. And as I'm looking at it this morning, there's another 5% off coupon that you can clip and add it to your cart as well. So that will bring the price to
19 less 5%. Fine.
Stand by. Whatever Amnon said. It'll bring the price down to $18.04. So you save about an extra dollar with the coupon. So you can get this whole thing for $19 shipped to your house with tax. Check that out over at Amazon. Next up, if you're looking to get into the PlayStation 5 ecosystem, here's the Sony PS5 console. So this is the one with a disc drive, plus God of War Ragnarok, which is God of War is one of Sony's IPs that are very popular, plus 2 DualSense wireless controllers, a Sony Plus headset, and $100 worth of PlayStation gift cards. So you get a whole bunch of different things here. This is the full kit. You get everything you need to get started with a PlayStation. It's not cheap, I'll mind you that. But the $100 gift cards, the controller, the headset, and the free game, not a bad value, available over at Costco for $7.99. You can check that out over there, both in store and online. And finally, check this thing out. This is the Aero Garden Sprout. No, this is not for growing weed inside your house. But what it is it for is so this is kind of a cool device, and I had to do some research on this one as well. So you buy these pods. They kind of look like thin K-cups from Aero Garden. And in this case, for $50, you get the unit, which has UV lights and the ability to water the device. Excuse me, not water, just the UV lights for it. And you get seed pods. So you have to buy these pods. And in this case, you get 3 of them with the device. You get a basil, a parsley, and a dill spice. And you can put these inside if you're in an apartment and you don't have sunlight, but you still want some parsley, oregano, or something like that. You can get this device. It's got the UV light built in. And instead of soil, the base of it is water. The soil's inside of the pods that
hydroponics.
It is. Yeah, it is essentially hydroponics. It'll grow up to. You can have up to. The plants can go up to 10 inches inside. This is for spices and things like this. No dirtbag, no cannabis sprouts. At least directly from them. I'm sure you can buy them some third party or make your own. This seems like a pretty cool. This seems like a pretty cool gift for somebody for $50. It's half off. It's the full kit plus basil, parsley, and dill, which they say is enough, plus a 3-ounce bottle of their plant nutrients, which they say is enough for a full season of growth. Maybe a cool gift for somebody that lives in an apartment, or maybe a college student in a dorm. You can check this out over at Amazon for $49.99. And that's specials.
I have a question that wasn't on this specials, but it has been in the past. I'm looking to get I guess a smart plug to control my Christmas tree, like when the lights come on and off. And I know in the old days, it wasn't necessarily a smart plug, but a timer plug. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
What's the cheapest and best one? I need something cheap, but not.
Shop. Are you an Alexa user?
Yes.
The easiest one to integrate is going to be the Amazon smart plug.
Okay.
You
So
can probably get sometimes they run a sale on buying one. But you can get, there's probably 10 manufacturers out there. TP-Link makes it, Wise makes it, Fight Electric makes it. There's others.
do you think
so-
it's more expensive than just getting a plug that has a timer on it, like the old ones used to be?
No,
It'll probably cost
it's
you the
much
same.
more convenient using this because you can set a routine up in Alexa. You can turn it on from your phone. They don't dim. That's the one thing over X10 used to have these controllers that would work and they were dimmers, but you can't get I don't think anybody makes a smart plug dimmer anymore.
Mm.
But
Gal, you were saying?
It'll cost pretty much the same as a timer.
Okay.
yeah, it's not much. It's
Yeah, they're
average.
about $25. That's what I use because
You
I'm
can get
in
them
the,
for less.
Do you belong to
Yeah.
Costco?
I do.
Costco will have sales on Fight Electric is the company they carry, and they
I
have
like
a
that.
3-pack.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I just configured 3, 4. I bought 4 TP links and 3 fights, and I just added them.
How do you spell that? Flight?
FEIT.
Oh, okay.
That's the brand of bulbs that they sell. They sell smart dimmers and all kinds of other stuff. I don't
Okay,
know that
cool.
they'll always have the smart plugs, but they're
Sweet.
all
If you're searching
configurable.
for a solution that's
Oh, they
not
do. Here we go.
necessarily Alexa based,
Mhm.
look for Shelly plugs. They're excellent Wi-Fi controlled, and they can be disconnected from external servers as well.
Nice.
So,
I'm on Costco's website and they have 3 Wi-Fi smart plugs for $30, and then they also have 3 Wi-Fi smart dimmers for $45. Not that I need dimmer, I just need the plug. But
the dimmer
You're
also
talking
depends on what's on the other end. LEDs, you can't really dim. They'll just flicker.
mhm.
The bulb has to be dimmer compatible.
Yeah,
but if
Most
the
are
new,
not.
the new dimmer itself, they're compatible with everything. They're with resistive and LED
Okay.
because the old ones couldn't control very low wattage, like an LED bulb draws 7 watts. Because of the type of technology they had, you could not control a bulb unless it was like 20 or more watts. But now it controls down to almost nothing. So
Nice.
if you buy a new dimmer now, it's going to be LED compatible.
Well,
If the LED is dimmable.
yeah, I don't need a dimmer. I just need something to turn my Christmas tree on and
Yeah.
off. So
The clapper.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's what I was also going to mention is if you're not going to control it if you don't want to control it via voice activation, there are plenty of ones that you can buy on Amazon that just have a little remote. I bought a 3-pack last year, and they're not smart at all. They don't connect to anything. You just have a little remote for it.
And they
Okay,
work
cool.
even if your Wi-Fi doesn't work, they'll work.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It depends. If you're trying to control it via voice, smart plug. If
no,
you're just
I want to set up a schedule. So like
then smart plug. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So like at 5 p.m. when it gets dark out, turn on the Christmas tree. And then
Yep, smart
you know,
plug for sure.
in the morning turn it off. Okay.
Look,
okay.
look for
so
sales.
with Alexa, you can tell it, turn it off, create a routine for when it gets dark. Like you
Mhm.
don't even need to tell it the time.
Yep.
Because it knows where you live.
Sunrise and
It
sunset.
will when sunset sets in, it'll just switch it on.
Dang, man, I need to get into the 21st century. Got a new computer, got a new monitor. I'm finally gonna get smart plugs.
Just buy
Golly.
a bulk box, get 100 of them, and just put them everywhere.
Perfect.
And I recommend getting a labeler and labeling them
Yeah.
because once you
Yeah,
put
I
them in
agree.
if you don't write on it which one it is, what is it? You go if I don't know what this is, you plug it in and wait till it shows up in Alexa. Oh, that's it.
I have made that mistake. I have like a whole box of the Amazon ones, and I have every holiday, every time I need to use one, I have to plug it in and then just try all of the devices till I find which one it is. It's a royal pain. I've been using the Zeus outdoor plug that's Z-Wave compatible that I bought a couple of months ago. for my Christmas lights, and God, I'll tell you what, this thing has been absolutely flawless. It turns on and off every single night, or turns on every night, turns off every morning. I did have a bit of a problem originally with the automation that I built, because the plug has two outlets on it, two individual outlets. And when I built the original automation, I didn't have a delay between the commands. So sometimes one of the plugs would turn on and not the other because the command was being sent at the same time. So I added a 5-second delay between the turning them on and off, and now it works flawlessly. So the Z-Wave plug, the outdoor Z-Wave plug, I've been very, very
Nice.
Yeah, that's
All right.
I've got a story for you.
Okay, you go for it.
This is the biggest story of the week. I'm surprised you didn't open with it, Amnon. Is the FTC and Microsoft. Did you have this in your notes?
Nope.
This is
I
a
don't think so.
massive story. The Federal Trade Commission is
With
officially
Activision?
they officially brought forward their legal challenge to Microsoft's $70 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So now the FTC is going to fight to block this merger. It's obviously in a very early stage of it. A lot of folks and what's kind of being said on the people that are pro blocking this is, well, look at what Microsoft's done in the past, and look at some of Microsoft's old things that they were hit against, Internet Explorer and some of their other monopolistic practices. For me as a gamer, this doesn't seem to be a problem at all. I don't know what they just claim that it will allow, the FTC says in their complaint, it would allow Microsoft to, quote, suppress competitors to its Xbox gaming console and its rapidly growing subscription content and cloud gaming business. So the FTC is worried about that. Microsoft has already come out and offered a 10-year deal to both Nintendo and Microsoft to keep Call of Duty on those platforms. Same launch date as they get that they're available on the Xbox. Nintendo has agreed to it. Sony has flipped Microsoft the bird, and now the FTC seemingly is doing Sony's bidding. If I was Sony, I'd be patting the pockets of these FTC commissioners to try and make sure that this doesn't go through, because this will be so detrimental to PlayStation.
Was it Nintendo that they were trying to buy something from, that they were saying only if the deal goes through we'll buy it from you or something? There was some.
No, they just agreed to this 10-year deal of, we'll still make this game available on your at the same cost and at the same time frame as as available on the Xbox. This is an example where it seems like the FTC, from my vantage point, the FTC seems to be completely in the wrong.
Yeah, I'm confused.
It is very confusing. I think there's a lot of, I assume, older individuals that went through the 90s and early 2000s of Microsoft, and them constantly getting slapped down by the federal government on things. And I assume that that's bleeding into this somehow. This is going to be catastrophic if the FTC is successful.
Yeah. Well, because I play World of Warcraft, and so that's what in Overwatch and stuff like that. So that's what I know from Blizzard and Activision. And they own a lot of IP to other games that they've bought over the years or whatever. And I'm kind of confused. So the companies that are against it,
Sony's against it.
Yeah, Sony's against it because they don't want Microsoft, who is their competitor with Xbox, to have exclusive rights to these games.
Correct.
But what doesn't make sense to me is that they want more people to play Call of Duty because they spend more money. So they would want to make deals with these other companies so that people on PlayStation could play Call of Duty, because that opens up to their market. Now, maybe Sony doesn't want to pay Xbox's or Microsoft's price for the licensing to Call of Duty, but
quoting the CEO of Xbox in a Wall Street Journal article this week, The main, quoting the article, the main supposed potential anti-competitive risk that Sony raises is that Microsoft would stop making Call of Duty available on the PlayStation. But according to Brad Smith, that would be, quote, economically irrational,
Yeah.
as a vital part of Activision's Call of Duty revenue comes from PlayStation games. And given the popularity of cross-platform play, according to Brad Smith, it would be disastrous for the Call of Duty franchise and Xbox itself, alienating millions of gamers. That would be the stupidest thing that Microsoft
Yeah,
could
there's
possibly
no
But
way they would
there's
do
a
that.
keyword. There's a key word there. Multi-platform pay equals Sony isn't getting their cut. Right.
do
That's
you mean?
why Sony is against this, because this is going to put them in a position, right, where I'm not defending them. I'm just saying where they're coming from, right? They're saying if Microsoft is going to run this, they're going to find a way of cornering us out from being able to cut the coupons on the payments. The Epic and Apple battle, similar here, right? If you're subscribing to an Activision game,
There's no
through
subscription.
Sony's, but that's the thing. If you want to play on the network, right? What happens when they create a subscription for multi-platform?
Well,
play?
they already have. See, I think so PlayStation, the Xbox, and Nintendo, all of these consoles, you have to pay to play online. There's a subscription. I think
Yeah,
the
that's right.
problem where Sony is that instead of making a deal with Activision/Blizzard, which was a video game company, they now are going to have to make a deal with Microsoft, who is their direct competitor with the Xbox. So to them, they're like, I'd rather play the video game company that's making the video game that my player base wants to play instead of actually paying my competitor.
Yeah, but that's still gonna be the situation, right?
No,
The
I
fact
know
that
exactly.
Another company owns them. Look at Sony, right? Sony has a bunch of companies that create content exclusively for Sony. Nintendo has a bunch of companies that create content exclusively for Nintendo. There's no difference in the market.
Yeah.
Right? This is Microsoft trying to buy a company. And of course, at the beginning, it's going to say, hey, we're not going to do anything exclusive, right? But come the next generation of consoles, they're going to say, this is going to be exclusive.
Here's
Which I don't think is a problem.
I
if
agree.
Microsoft wants to
agree.
shell out $70 billion to purchase Activision Blizzard, they should be able to do whatever the hell they want with it.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
it's really not-
Sony's just salty that they don't have enough money to buy Activision first because
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
Sony
Yeah.
bought Bungie.
Agree.
Microsoft bought Bethesda. This has been the trend, and it's because all of them are moving towards this streaming subscription service. Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass is so profitable for Microsoft. They charge $15 a month for this service, and you can essentially play any game you want for free. They are making a killing on this. And for them to add more and more games to that catalog and have them only available on that catalog, that is a constant revenue stream. When you buy a $70 game, like the new Call of Duty, and you buy it once and you spend $70. Yes, Microsoft gets their cut, Sony gets their cut, or Nintendo gets their cut, depending on the platform. But long term, that game does not inherently generate revenue. If you subscribe to the season pass or whatever, yes. But inherently, it does not generate revenue. They've got you by the balls for $15 a month. It's streaming service revenue. It's the equivalent of buying a show versus streaming it on Netflix. And it's just a really great, I think for the end consumer, it ends up being a great thing. But again, from Microsoft's standpoint, it would make absolutely no sense for them to rip Call of Duty off of the PlayStation platform.
No.
It would be a terrible business move. They'd lose out on likely hundreds of millions of dollars worth of revenue. It would make no sense.
I would even say close like billions because, like you said, they release a new game every year. They have
Literally
the battle
every year.
passes.
Yeah.
The fact that Fortnite makes billions of dollars a year,
It's free.
And that's free. And this is, and Call of Duty essentially kind of is the same thing, other than you have to pay $70 to buy the game, but it also has those purchasing power that Fortnite does. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars. There's no way. I mean, okay, I say no way. Watch, and there's a slim possibility that they would remove it, but yeah.
According to this,
Go ahead.
3 days into Call of Duty's launch, which was October the 28th, they generated more than $800 million in global revenue within 3 days of just the game sale. That's just the $70 price tag.
Billion, yeah, they're talking billions of dollars. I think what Sony and what the other console companies are really scared of is that if this goes through with Microsoft and they buy Activision and Blizzard has a huge hold on the PC gaming, and they're a powerhouse in and of themselves. It would be like if Disney bought Netflix, kind of how big these companies are and how important they are to the community. That would be pretty big.
It is big. And for Microsoft, this would long term, and I am a Microsoft fan, so if I wasn't a Microsoft fan, I'd probably have a significantly different viewpoint on this. I'm a huge Xbox fan. I've always loved Xbox. I think it's the superior platform. But for them, this pretty much cements their this gives them a stronghold in this market. And one of the other things is interesting to note is that part of Microsoft's claim here is that this allows them into the mobile game market as well, which Activision Blizzard owns King and PopCap, I think.
Oh, that's right. Candy Crush.
Activision Blizzard. So Candy Crush and all of that, which Microsoft claims, how is that antitrust? We don't have anything in that market right now. We are not a mobile game developer. So that is part of what they're adding into their portfolio. And mobile gaming is the fastest growing market in terms of revenue growth. It's growing way fast. It's growing like, I saw some statistic for Infection. Mobile game revenue is growing like 25% over what any other sort of revenue avenue right now is. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It makes sense too. We're discussing this at one of the company meetings about how the mobile devices have skyrocketed versus computers, just because it's so much easier to have a phone. It's easier to get it out to people. And it's much easier to install like a cell phone tower or whatever that affects a bunch of people instead of laying groundwork for Wi-Fi. And so as far as like accessibility to a new market, mobile's the way to go.
Yep.
Now we wait and see. I unfortunately feel that Netflix is going to be successful, or excuse me, that the FTC is going to be successful, and that I think is overall going to be a very bad thing.
I just wanted to keep.
It's not over until the fat lady sings, right?
No, but and we know what's so frustrating about it is that Microsoft has been so upfront, and let's not have any false notions here. Microsoft is just as big and bad of a company as everybody else. However, from the public-facing standpoint, they have been ahead of this every step of the way. They tried to get this deal with Sony and Nintendo months ago. They've claimed multiple times they have no interest in making some of these games exclusive because of the huge cross-platform play. It's not like they've said, yeah, we're going to take over this whole industry and the FTC is coming after them. They're seemingly trying to make this as smooth of a transition as possible. And now the federal government is stepping in where I think they've got absolutely no business.
I may be oversimplifying things, but it's like the judge that's in charge of this, when he sees the two sides, he like pulled down his glasses and he's like, so you want Call of Duty? You want that?
Yeah, which is probably part of the trouble as well.
Yeah.
And we've seen things like this before.
Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk all the time about the digital media world. What's the best way to get a message out there? What is the best message to get out there? So you need professionals like Drago and his team at Oak City Tech. Go to oakcitytech.com. Tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a local small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and the surrounding cities. And each week, 31 chapters, about 520, 525 members get together, and our goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our local small business success story this week is Cole McLaughlin with Edward Jones. He is a financial advisor. He is in RDO2. They are Carry Connections. They meet every Monday at 8:30 in the morning at Hope Community Church on Buck Jones Road. We have royalty in the house because Cole is the president. Good morning, Cole. How are you again?
Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Oh, glad to have you here. I was at Cole's meeting this morning. For those of you who aren't morning people, still a good group to go visit. I know some people, I don't know what gene, Cole, if you got an early riser or a night owl from your folks. I got the early riser gene from my mom, and it's paid dividends for me, so I enjoy the morning meetings. What'd you get from your folks, early morning or the night owl?
I actually got kind of a weird combination. I got both. I got the night owl and the early bird. If I sleep more than 4 or 5 hours, I actually feel more tired.
Really?
So, yep.
Interesting. Do you grab a nap during the day?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Normally it's bed between midnight and 1 and up by between 4 and 5.
Wow. Okay. Very impressive. All right, so Cole's been with Edward Jones for about 7.5 years. Cole, if I've got it right, in one of your elevator pitches, you said you want to do business with people you like. Did I get that correct?
That is correct. I'd much rather have fun and enjoy my time than just worry about managing people's assets. That's not the goal. It's the relationship.
Okay, so we're going to talk about, there's a number of things we're going to talk about, the million types of different sales jobs you have, which thoroughly intrigue me. But I hate to take, Cole, but that statement goes against everything we're told on how to grow a business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun. I've always had the problem, if you want to call it. I'm not really a salesperson. I actually had a sales manager pull me aside one time and said I'd be a much better salesperson if I weren't so honest and didn't worry so much about telling everything to the prospective client. I've never portrayed or pretended to be a good salesperson. It's more about customer service.
When did I want to do business with people I like, did that kind of kick in one day and you realized, okay, this is the route I want to go?
Well, I always wanted it. It just, I didn't have the ability to pursue it most of the time. When I first started, I moved to North Carolina about a year and a half before I started with Edward Jones, and I didn't know anyone. So I helped everybody I could, anyone that was willing. But over time, I got comfortable enough and confident enough to be able to really just say, look, if we don't want to spend time, I don't want to talk to people that don't want to talk to me. And I don't want them to talk to me if they don't want to hear from me. So the relationship turned into being the first and the biggest priority.
And it's actually a very good lesson in client retention is to just find the people that and they're probably drawn to you because they want to talk to you as much as you want to talk to them.
Right. Spending time, a lot of times it's more birthday calls, anniversary calls. Hey, how's the family doing? Rather than worrying about what's going on with assets, because that's being managed on the side and the relationship is the priority.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so we're coming up on the end of the year, and I don't want to get into details of this, that, or the other, but just some thoughts of people if we have money left over? Did we want to start something? How do we wrap up the end of the year financially to make sure we're in good shape or starting the new year off the right way?
Well, this is a great year for an interesting philosophy at the end of the year, which is trying to make sure you can accumulate as much of a tax loss harvest. This is a CPA expert out there that would tell you more about what that means, but taking advantage of taxable holdings that might be down right now because of the market, if you can move them from one investment into another and get the returns that you're still expecting, but harvest the loss, it may not reduce your taxes this year. It may, but it could also be carried over and reduce your taxes the following year. It can be a good advantage at the end of this year. It's a normal market, unfortunately, to have down markets, but to take advantage of them is the key. And that's a good strategy right now. The market's down. It's also a good time to put money in that's long term. If you need your money in the next 6 months, you don't invest it right now. You save it. But if you have money that's 3-4 years, that's where you long-term money.
I was listening to a webinar seminar. This was probably like a year and a half ago, and it was some national guy. I have no idea who he was, but he was on a national seminar, and he said your investment is like an ice cube. The more you touch it, the less of it there will be.
That's true. Yeah, there's some great analogies. Warren Buffett has some of my favorite ones, and if you think of the investment philosophy that he talked about, is the best time to buy is be greedy when everyone's fearful and be fearful when everyone's greedy. And I can't think of a more fearful time right now. But it's long-term money you need to be greedy with. Short-term money, protect it. That's definitely key.
Now, your industry in the real estate industry, it's been a goofy year, and you're probably going maybe on a couple years. Do you enjoy, from a strategic standpoint, do you enjoy a year like this versus, oh yeah, everything's just going up 9%, no matter what you do, it's going to go up 9%?
It can be stressful, but it can also be a point where you can really give your clients the benefit that you have for them. A market that just goes up, 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 you can throw a dart against a wall and hit an investment. But these type of markets require strategy, defensive positions, cash-rich positions, investments that are solid to be able to weather storms. And just sticking with one thing can be a problem. So you need that management. That's where this value can be. I wouldn't lie and say that it's nice when the market's just going up, up, up. I had clients who looked at me and go, am I really paying you money because it's just going up so much? I don't know. I go, yeah, you are. And then the other way during this market, you have people, their money has gone down and they're still paying. So it from a psychological standpoint, it's not the easiest, but it can be fulfilling to know you're protecting what you're doing.
One of the many things I've learned through BNI is with financial advisors, the ones who do it well, because our initial inclination is to think, oh my God, every one of your clients must be calling you every day going, what's going on, what's going on? But I was told early on by a really good, successful financial advisor is, no, I don't get many calls. My clients know what we're doing and what the plan is.
Yeah, I have not gotten, I could probably count on one hand people that called up so panicked that they needed reassurance out of hundreds of clients. So, and the other thing is I had clients call up going, I need to get money invested right now because they saw the opportunity long term.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And there's a bunch of there's a bunch of industry myths, and of course one of yours is, well, we just put the money here and you don't talk. A lot of people don't talk about the plan, and I know you do regularly when you do your elevator pitch. Is you want somebody coming to your office without receipts, without paperwork, without anything. It's like, let's just talk about what your goal is.
Definitely. The goal is the driving force of any plan. And if you don't have a goal, you don't know what the plan needs to be. And if you don't know the plan, you don't know how the money should be invested. And a human you can just sit there and put information into a computer system and it's going to spit out something, but it doesn't know people. And that's where I really love the relationship. It's kind of a dying art with some of the younger generations. They don't want the personal touch, but it is so important. It's your life savings. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't want a computer doing all that for me. That's just me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. And the analogy for me is mainly in baseball with the analytics. Like, I don't care who's at bat. I don't care who's pitching. The count is 2-1. It's the top of the seventh. We're down plus or minus. It's like, no. Who is again, we'll get into your baseball background, but it's the same thing. It's like, no, I need to know who's involved here first.
Yeah, definitely. It's a much different situation depending on who's at bat and who's the pitcher is.
I've always thought so. I'm with you on that. So in doing some of my research, I see that you are, wait, where's the note? Here it is. You have a CFFP designation, Series 66 and Series 7. Can I assume you're a good test taker?
I have learned how to do that. It depends on the test. If you're talking legalese, which was the Series 66, a little bit more difficult than the analytics side. That side is a much more fun to me, the analytics. But trying to discern the legal nuances, I've just learned over time that if you don't know something, you write a note that you need to come back to it, and try to get as much done, because if you run out of time on a test, it's a horrible thing. And I learned that as a kid. I took the ACTs when I was in high school, and I scored in the 56th percentile in the language section because I got 30 out of 60 right, but I only finished 30 questions. So that was the problem that I learned early on, that I should have skipped ones I wasn't sure about until later and come back, and then I could have answered more and gotten a better score. So
they didn't give you credit for batting 1,000 on the 30 that you did attempt?
Nope. You should have seen me when I finished the math section. They had twice as many questions in half the time, but I finished with half the time left over. And I said, "Can I start on the other one?" They're like, "No, you got to wait." I'm like, "Oh, man." I could have used that extra time, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah. Because I did the SAT and the ACT, and I did did considerably better on the ACT, because you could, if I remember right, you weren't penalized for wrong answers like you were on the SAT. So
that's correct.
My ACT scores were considerably better. So again, the sales jobs you've had. By the way, real quick. Each Edward Jones advisor has a branch office administrator, BOA, right?
Yep.
And yours is Betsy, who just is very highly spoken of in your chapter meetings. How'd you two get together?
That is a very interesting story, because the IT person for our region, I was looking at hiring a branch office administrator because I was about to open my branch. And he's like, "Hey, my wife is trying to get a job. She's in the system already." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And so I got her application and I sat down and talked to her. And the funny thing is, we both live in the same neighborhood across the street from our branch. And she is incredibly detail oriented. and empathetic and understand and all the things you need for someone who's there to help and understand while I'm in the background trying. I always say I'm the fancy hood ornament and she's behind the wheel driving the branch to make sure everything's done. Admin stuff is not my strong point. And I love details, but I love analytics way more. She loves details, and that's valuable.
When you got started in Edward Jones, and as you learned the path is, I guess, was to open your own branch, which is, I guess, should be the goal. Is there a window of number of clients that's good to have, or how many are manageable, or is that just, do you learn that as you go?
Well, there is a higher volume you can have when you have someone supporting you like Betsy does. But I am also the abnormal rather than the norm. The average advisor with Edward Jones has about 300 or 400 clients. I have 120. And it is because I'm more relationship driven. I definitely want to spend more time with them rather than just on the accounts and be done and move on. It's just who I am. So I obsess about the clients more, and that takes too much time. And I realized over time, we do have a system that gives us, well, how much time do you want to spend on each person? How many different questions? And they said that my ceiling was 165 clients. So I've never hit that as of yet, and I'm lucky. I do have to say I knocked on 22,000 doors before I started working in BNI networking. Oh, thank goodness I don't have to spend so much time walking anymore. But it wasn't good for my waistline after I stopped.
Cold calling teaches you humility, but it's just not a lot of fun.
Time consuming, but if you don't have the passion to help people, you'll never survive going to somebody's front door.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of perseverance and belief. I didn't think I had it before I got started here.
Well, and also you're selling, like you said before, something very personal versus if you knock on the door, hey, I'm Cole's Landscaping, would love to cut your grass. You know, that's more transactional. But, man, you knock on somebody's door and say, hey, let me have your money, and help you reach your goal. That's not exactly a yes-no answer on the front doorstep, is it?
It's an interesting one. I was lucky. I worked really hard. What do they say? Luck comes from a lot of work.
Yep.
So it worked. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah. How many doors do you think you knocked on before you signed your first client?
It was about, interesting, Edward Jones has a philosophy that they want you to go out and meet people for a little over a month before you're allowed to ask one to be a client. So I had contacts of about 1,000 people and probably about 1,500 to 2,000 doors that I actually went and said hi to before I actually was able to ask somebody to be a client. And at that point, it was within a week after I was allowed. So it was pretty quick.
All right. Now, how long did it take you to knock on 22,000 doors?
1,100 hours. 20 doors per hour is the average all the time, consistently. I mean, you'll knock on 20 doors, but you'll talk to 3 of them.
Okay.
And you'll maybe 5, maybe you walk between doors half a minute, you wait in front of the door for a minute if nobody answers, and you talk to 3 or 4 people at 5-6 minutes, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I did the analysis. I have the stats. It was always 20 doors an hour. It was 1,100 hours.
Any creative responses from the homeowners you'd like to share with us that are appropriate?
Well, appropriate. My one of my favorites. I've already got an advisor. Everyone always used to hit me with that one. And my favorite response to that, just to to give you my response rather than theirs, in essence, was, well, most millionaires have 2.5 advisors, and I'd love to be your half.
Ooh.
It usually got a giggle out of people.
Yep.
But I also complimented them and said they were a millionaire. So it worked sometimes. But I do have a story about one neighborhood. I knocked on 5 straight doors, and every single one of them was an electrical engineer. 5 straight doors. All of them answered. All of them were working from home in tech jobs. And by the time I got to the 5th door and they answered, I'm like, hey, I'm Cole with Edward Jones. Are you an electrical engineer too?
Yep.
And they just started laughing. Go, yeah, I am. I go, the last 4 doors were all electrical engineers too. It was kind of weird.
And that's your
cool thing is
wheelhouse.
I have 3 of them as clients.
I was going to say that's your wheelhouse because you said you just want to collect nerds, right?
Yeah, it worked out perfectly.
Well, because they're very linear, so they get your thinking and your approach,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think similarly.
Nice. So previous jobs, and we'll get to the good one here in a minute, but I did not realize or probably hadn't heard yet the amount of time you spent in automobile sales with Porsche, Jaguars, and Land Rovers.
Yep.
Do you have a personal favorite of those 3?
I am still very close to heart with the Land Rover. The amazing capabilities of those vehicles, and also from being involved with sales and management for so long. I was with them from 1999 till 2008, from different cashier all the way up to managing stores, and they get a bad rap because they push the envelope of technology and what you can do in a luxury vehicle that can go off-road. And they also get misunderstood. A lot of people don't understand in the U.S. that the Econ button actually turns off an air conditioning system in a car, in a Land Rover. So they think the air conditioning is broken and complain when they just turned it off with the Econ button. It was something Brits understood it, but U.S. buyers did not. So
now so of those 3 vehicles, which is easier to sell?
Land Rover. Incredibly, the statistics were 2 out of every 3 persons that walked onto a Land Rover lot had already decided to buy it.
Wow.
It was just whether or not they could afford it or whether or not they liked you.
Okay.
So, and a lot of times it was just that they couldn't afford it because it's an expensive vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were an on-premise salesperson.
I started as cashier, became accounts payable receivable, become a sales, then went internet manager, desk manager, finance manager, general sales manager, and assistant GM all across. I did virtually everything other than work on the cars and be a service manager.
And from what I understand from people who I've known been in the sales industry before is there are ongoing contests within the sales staff, either daily or weekly, probably hourly, right?
Yeah, you'd run into a lot of different things. Sometimes they'd have specific cars that give you bonuses and stuff like that. I was never the top salesperson in any one month. You'd probably have me as number 2 or 3 if I were in sales. But you got to the end of the year and I was the number 1 salesperson because I was always number 2 or 3 every single month.
Yeah.
And some people would be gangbusters one month and then nothing the next. So I was just consistent.
Yeah, they probably had a vacation in April, so they knew that February needed to be their best month to pay for the vacation, right?
Yeah, and there was also the fact that I had to. My wife hated it because I had a change of clothes in my car at all times. So if it was a day off and I got a call, I switched into my Land Rover gear and went straight to work.
Oh,
on days off. I mean, I didn't know the phrase "no" to anyone.
Yeah,
it was just the way it was for me.
All right. Speaking of your wife, one of the questions I enjoy asking married guests is, how did you and your wife meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Well, it's a little, I don't know how well she remembers it anymore, but there was a joke that happened. So she was new to California. I was working as a salesperson at Land Rover at the time, and she didn't know anybody. Her dad was trying to cheer her up, so they were going to go to a miniature golf course to play and just hang out in the evening, Sunday night. She loves hiking, so she went to go out. They saw the Land Rover store, and they pulled in and thought we were closed. I started chatting with her. As a salesperson, I'm supposed to ask questions to get to know somebody. So I asked her if she had any kids, and her response was that she lives next to a nuclear plant. So I responded immediately going, hey, that's how I stay single. Well, 10 days later, she came back to see if I was single, and the rest is history.
And how do you think she recalls that?
I think she'll recall that. She just won't remember all the details of our conversations and the fact that it happened on July 14th of 2001. She will have no clue the date. None of that stuff. I'm the dates person. We got married on a holiday, so she'd remember it.
Oh, God. I hope it's not a holiday that keeps moving on a Monday, right?
No, the good thing is it's St. Patrick's Day. It's nice and easy to celebrate.
Now, was that her recommendation or yours?
Well, I got some Irish blood in me, so we came to that. It was a joint decision on that one because we wanted springtime. So,
in California, springtime's February, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's all spring or summer. There is no winter there.
All right. So she comes back a week later. So you guys first meet, she comes back a week later. Make sure you're single. When and where is the first date?
That was 5 days after her second visit. We went out to Olive Garden.
There you go. Big spender.
Fancy.
Yep. All you can eat breadbasket too, right?
Yep. And I have a tendency of being an over-disclosure person. So I was 30 years old. I didn't care anymore. So I told her everything.
Good.
Everything. I felt like, if she could live through everything that I've gone through, and she can't come back and say she didn't know something later on. She told me she was scared after that first date, but she stuck around. So
yeah,
it worked.
Well, and it's one of those things, if you're going to date for a while, she's going to find out most of it. So may as well just tell her up front. So,
yep.
Now, I'm with you on that. And you two have a daughter. You were telling me the other night when I was at your office tree trimming party, which, by the way, had a lot of fun, that your daughter is on the robotics team.
Yep.
That's got to make your heart swell with pride because that's the way
she is a nerd. She's an engineer at heart. I love it to death. The room I'm sitting in right now is set up to the computers are off to the side because I'm on an iPad right now, but we've got computers that we can go online and game together and record and put it on YouTube if we want. She is a geek at heart, and I love it. 12-year-old nerd. It's beautiful. And all of her friends are the smart kids. It's nice.
Oh, okay. All right. Is your wife that way? Or she's got to be creative. If you're numbers, she's got to be creative, right?
She is. She's creative. She is a nerd also and a geek, but hers is based around Jeopardy.
Ooh.
Mine's around mathematics and engineering. She grew up reading the encyclopedia for fun. That scares me.
And yet you went on a second date after you found that out, right?
Yeah, I survived too. Yep.
All right, I want to get to the sales story that just has me laughing so much. You told this last week at your BNI meeting that you actually it took you a while to figure out what you wanted to do. In the meantime, you've always been a go-getter, making money, selling stuff. You're, no stranger to working hard. I learned that from you. But you actually sold perfume in parking lots.
That was, There's a theory in where I am right now. One of the coaches said, think of your worst job ever and think you'll have to go back to that if you fail at this. And definitely selling perfume in parking lot where you have to run up to somebody in hopes that they don't ignore you and just say, can I ask you a crazy question? What perfume do you wear? And hope they don't hit you.
Yeah.
And just try to get the chance to let them know, hey, I've got what you wear, white diamonds, whatever, cool water. I mean, oh man, I used to know all the different perfumes and colognes. But it was a brutal but enlightening job that taught you and taught me that we're all trying to help and do something. I mean, you don't know who that person is that's talking to you. And you got to give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
Yeah, and in today's world, that's not going to play with a guy walking up to a lady in a parking lot. Hey, what perfume?
No, that job is gone. It does not exist anymore. If it did, I don't know where, or it's going to get ugly, in my opinion, on that one.
And do I remember right? You made about $8 a bottle.
It was $8 a bottle. We sold them for $20. 12 went to them, and eight to me. So it was sell or go hungry.
I hope you cashed out each and every day, because was that a reputable company that's still around?
I don't know if it's still around. I haven't looked in a long time. I think it was called Fragrance de Elegance or something like that.
Yeah, naturally.
It's probably out there. I think what they did is they started going towards selling in those gigantic stores that are in the mall that had all the knockoff perfumes and colognes and stuff like that.
That and probably
they couldn't get people.
That and probably kiosks, right? I can see them doing that.
Right.
So there were actually. And what year was this?
That was in 1994.
And there were actually women that stopped and talked to you about that.
Yep. Women, men, it's stunning how many people would talk to you.
Wow. Could you pick what parking lot you wanted to go to, of what store?
Oh, yeah. You'd go wherever. You just had to be careful because some people would call the cops, and you just had to make sure we were mobile.
I'm sensing you said, here, come here, let me open my trunk for you.
Oh, yeah, because you'd have a big, gigantic bag with stuff.
Yes.
With like 20 or 30 or 40 different colognes and perfumes because you didn't know what they were going to answer. It was not fun. Definitely not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
And how long did you do that?
It was probably about 3, 4, maybe 5 months. It was less than half a year.
And how
it
many
was a
people?
Very short term.
How many people stopped and started from the time you started and stopped, you figured?
Oh, well, part of it was a revolving door of probably about 20 to 30 a week would come in, realize what they're doing, and get out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you'd have 5 or 6 people that would stick it out for more than 3, 4, 5 weeks. And next thing you know, those, like myself, were the trainers of the new people because we were the only ones that had any experience.
Yeah. No, geez. What was the job? What was the sales job before that, and what was the sales job after that?
Before, I had 2 jobs at the same time before that while I was still in school, and that was the construction manager for the School of Theater, and I was also a salesperson at a independent record store.
Ooh, okay. I bet that was pretty fun, wasn't it?
Yep. And then after that, I had a job as a IT manager and a database manager for a telemarketing company.
Oh, geez. Right. Were you making outbound calls, or you just...
I couldn't cut it as a salesperson.
Yeah.
I think they tried me in that one day, and I was like, no. That ain't happening.
I-
The telemarketing is a different monster.
Oh yeah, no thanks on that. So your ties are obviously to Southern California. You are a proud graduate of the University of Southern Cal.
Yep.
I find it odd that you majored in theater and aerospace engineering.
I have two jokes. The first one is I was lazy when looking up the majors, and because I dual majored to start at aerospace engineering and applied mathematics,
Okay.
and then when I decided I was bored with it and wanted to get out, I only made it to actor before I had got sick of looking through the book. But no, a friend of mine knew how outgoing I was in very, very small groups of like 1 to 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, take an acting class just to see what it's like. And it was the most enlightening thing I'd ever. I would tell anyone that does any marketing or sales, take an acting class. Because if you have to act like somebody else, you have to know how to look at the world from their point of view. And that is exactly what sales and marketing is. It was the most enlightening thing. I didn't know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And that's what acting taught me to do. So that was groundbreaking to be able. It was the most difficult thing I ever did because I was afraid to talk to people. But it was amazing. And now my wife calls me a ham because I'm
Yep.
too outgoing sometimes.
Well, and that's interesting on the acting part. I hadn't thought about that because for years I've always thought any school, it should be mandatory for each student to take a public speaking class. But the acting thing takes it one step further, so I kind of follow you on that.
Yeah, you not only have to know who you are as a person, but you have to be able to look at the world from somebody else's point of view. And as someone in customer service, marketing, sales, anything like that, your goal is to find a solution for someone,
Yeah.
their needs. And if you can't see the world from their point of view, you have no hope.
Then on your degree, what do you have a degree in what?
I have no degree. I have 3 years worth of education toward 3 different majors.
Oh, I thought you
I'm a-
finished. My bad.
I am a graduate only in the fact that I have so many units, they've called me a graduate. You only need like 180 units to graduate, and I had 270. Because I was taking way too many classes to begin with the dual major, and then I crammed the entire education needed for the theater degree into 2 years. So in 5 years, I have 9 years worth of college. If I want a theater degree, I need 3 semesters of a foreign language and then 1 general ed class. I just can't bring myself to go back to college and sit in a room as a 50-something-year-old guy.
And
It's not that important to me.
I'm with you. And it felt like 9 years that you were there, but it was really only 5. How many jobs did you have putting yourself through school? Which, by the way, folks, if you don't know, University of Southern Cal is a private school. It is not cheap.
It's very expensive. In the day and age back then, I had $75,000 worth of student loans, but I still had about $12,000 a year worth of financial grants that I still had. And then I had 2 jobs. Most of the time was with the record store and the theater department. Previous to that, I had maintenance jobs with aerospace companies and delivering mattresses during the summer, helping my dad. He had a furniture store. I was selling furniture for my dad at his shop, working at golf courses whenever I could during evenings. And it's just, you end up working 80 hours a week and going to school another 40 or 50. You don't even notice the years go by sometimes.
And that
You just
explains,
work.
that explains the 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. That helps the math, actually, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely.
You always prided yourself on your ability as a golfer. And on your bio, one of the bios I was reading says you actually had 3 eagles in one round.
Yeah, it was so close to 4. I lipped out on the 18th hole for the 4th eagle. That would have been a blast to say. I mean, 3 is pretty crazy, but yeah, I went out one day, and to give you the craziness of the story is, at the time I was working as an assistant at a golf course, and I was in the pro shop, and the pro showed up. He said, "Hey, why don't you go play with the members?" And so I went to the first tee and didn't hit a single ball. I almost topped the first tee shot. And then proceeded to eagle the first par 5 by lipping out my second shot. I shot 2 under on the front. Then I holed out from 50 yards from a fairway bunker on a par 4, and then holed out from 100 yards on a par 5, and then hit the 18th hole in 2 and lipped out the birdie, or lipped out the eagle. So yeah, I almost had 4 eagles and shot a 66. So.
And some
all
of
the members called me Eagle Boy from that point on.
Well, I'm sure some of the members trying to grab you for some skins games with their buddies so they could take money out of their pocket, right?
Yeah, at the time I was a +3 handicap, so it was a little bit different world.
Yeah, and if people don't believe the nerd and the geek and the gamer that you are through all your stories, let me just tell everybody, in his office there is a working video game called Tron, if you are familiar with that game. And I learned the other night that this Tron game has made it across the United States with you, hasn't it?
It started its life in Disneyland, went to a machine shop in Orange where I bought it. Yeah, I played it as a kid and found it, and it's been transported everywhere I went since 1994. I got it right after I graduated from college. And it's a prized possession, to say the least.
And my guess is the agreement with your wife was you can keep it, but not at the house.
It was at the house for a long time. And she was really excited when I got my office, and I think I'm going to take the Tron. Really? You're going to get it? Oh yeah, Dad. Fine, take it. That was great, because it was just taking up space at home that she'd rather have for other stuff. So
now, can Betsy tell when you're playing Tron?
I can turn the volume down, so she won't know. But definitely, I do not play it that much, unfortunately. It's been played once in the last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was just within the last week. Because one of my guests said, I want to play, and they had no clue how to play.
Yeah.
So I had to show them how to play.
It's a fun game. I told you, I remember playing that in college. So that was my game of choice when my friends and I went to play video games. Real quick, you have a connection to the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the We Are family in the 70s for baseball fans. Your uncle Jim Rooker, right?
Yes.
Pitched on that team.
He played from 74 to 80 with the Pirates. Before that, he was part of the Royals organization, and then started in the Detroit Tigers organization. So fondness for each one of those teams because family ties from that standpoint. But my uncle was definitely, it's Pittsburgh. Because after he stopped playing, he ended up being on the radio crew and TV crew all the way through the 80s and part of the 90s. So definitely grew up with that as my team.
Yeah.
So I hated the Dodgers because they kept beating the Pirates in the 80s and 90s.
Yep. And I just remember growing up, it was Pittsburgh. It was the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati. The Dodgers had their runs. The A's had their runs. It was, again, in the Get Off My Lawn segment of the show, talking about the teams in the 70s. So, but you have some cool memorabilia in the office. It sounds like some just wonderful memories of that time being around that team with your uncle.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with my wife one day because she was talking about going and watching a Durham Bulls game. And I just had to pause because I realized I've never paid to go to a baseball game in my life. I've been to thousands of them.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it until she brought that up, and it was just a show up at will call. And when he was with the team, he'd take me to the dugout in the clubhouse and just hang out with the team the whole time. I didn't even know you were supposed to go through ticket booths and sit in a assigned seat. I was just with the team and the families, so it was really weird upbringing from that standpoint.
And you thought everybody had an uncle that pitched for a pro baseball
Oh
team,
yeah.
right?
I also thought it was weird when people would come up and ask for his autograph. 'Cause I'm like, that's just my uncle.
Yeah.
What do you need that for?
No, I loved watching those teams. Roberto Clemente was one of the first play athletes that I just had a sports crush on, that I just wanted to watch him. And it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed those teams. All right, Cole, so what's one thing, as we wrap up here, what's one thing people need to do before the end of the year when looking at, is everything in order with my finances?
I think they need to make sure that if they have holdings that are taxable, make sure that they take advantage of the market so that they don't pay taxes on things that dropped this year, because dividends and stuff like that, that to me, save money, take it out of the government's pockets if possible. That, without hesitation, that's the number one thing I'm talking to people about.
Very nice. And that's yet another reason we hope that they call you. We've been putting your phone number up on the screen here, but just have an advisor that knows what they're doing. And, and other, some people use family members, and that's fine, but that's why you need a good advisor. Again, your whole thing is the long play and to reach your goal of whatever your goal is.
Yep. And you're never going to win with every single investment. Yep. So prior to my connection with Edward Jones, my wife was a day trader.
Wow.
And she bought a car with the trades she made back in 2008, 2009. But she also invested in a little company by the name of MCI WorldCom, which didn't do so good from an investment standpoint. So there's always positives and negatives. I mean, so you just have to look at the long picture is what I talk to people more than anything about, rather than what's going to happen next week.
I can see you in the kitchen with your wife, and she's telling you she had a bad day, and you pause. You're being the supportive husband. You say, well, honey, at least it's not MCI WorldCom.
Absolutely. Yep.
Anyways, Cole, thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show, telling some stories. Folks, just find an advisor that's going to help you reach your goal, but your first goal is to establish your goal. And then put everything else in order.
Relationship.
Yep. So please do that. All right, Cole, enjoyed it very much. Good luck with the end of the year, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And we will see everybody next time on Triangle B&I.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.
What kind of judge or court this is in front of. I mean, you could have a group of individuals that are just not capable of making a decision about this.
Yeah. Like They're like, well, I guarantee you that this is going to pop up if this gets more steam in the news. They're going to talk about violence in video games. And, well, we should promote this Call of Duty, the fighting and killing people.
The new Call of Duty is sick.
Well,
I mean, it's really awesome. I've been enjoying the crap out of it.
all right, let's switch gears here. Anybody who wants to make some money, little money.
I like money.
Oh.
Some
me too.
Amazon users will now earn $2 per month
Whoa.
for agreeing to share their traffic data with the retail giant.
No, thanks.
Under the company's new invite-only ad verification program, Amazon is tracking what ads participants saw, where they saw them, and the time of day they were viewed.
Oh,
This-
they're biting into that. What's the name of the TV rating company?
Nielsen?
Nielsen?
Nielsen. They're basically biting into that market on ads. Interesting.
This includes Amazon's own ads and third-party ads on the platform. Through the program, Amazon hopes to offer more personalized ad experience to customers that reflect what they have previously purchased. According to Amazon, your participation will help brands offer better products and make ads from Amazon more relevant. Amazon wrote in its shopper panel FAQ. The $2 reward only applies to Amazon users invited to participate in the program, though customers who didn't get invited can get added to the wait list and potentially join later. The spokesperson declined to tell insiders how the company decided who to invite. Amazing. They're
I'm
giving,
sorry. My data is worth more than $2 a month.
that's what I was saying.
What? Like,
It's amazing.
they want all of this information. They need so much help from me, and they want just $2. I want $2 a minute. Like, what?
It's amazing that they come up with $2.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
I am guessing the people who are getting invited
Yeah.
are already subscribers of Amazon Prime that are reacting to ads more than the rest, right? That's my guess, because these people are already engaging with the ad system in a certain way, and they might be susceptible to accept a deal to do something they already do, right? So
You know what they should do that I found out about is if you buy a bunch of stuff from Amazon and you write reviews, like you're pretty what is the word? Efficient, not efficient, I don't know, whatever. You respond and you write good reviews or whatever, you can get on Amazon's list where they'll send you free products so that you can
Yeah.
review it and stuff. I feel like that's more beneficial.
Well, guess we'll have to wait and see. And talk about why and who and where. Listen to this. This is another interesting development. Google search results on desktop will load in a continuous scroll instead of dividing into pages. The move follows a similar change made on mobile in October last year, but isn't quite as infinite scroll. Instead, Google will load 6 pages of results into a single scroll before offering users a See More button to show more results. Google says the change is rolling out first for English searches in the US, but judging by the rollout of the feature on mobile, it seems safe to expect it to see additional markets and languages added over time. And when I read this, the first thing that came to mind is I mean, people always were asking about SEO and SEO, and yeah, but this company told me I'm going to be first on the first page of Google, and you have to explain to them that that's impossible unless they're using search words that nobody will search for. Because if you're a dentist, there are more than 10 dentists. So how are you going to get everybody on the front page? It doesn't work. It's just
Well,
marketing.
There's some. Well, I disagree with you.
I don't
There
know.
is some legit. There is some legitimacy to having SEO.
I no legitimacy for SEO is fine, so it's better found. But to say
You can pay to
first-
you can pay to be the first result.
yeah,
That's
you have to
for
pay
sure.
Google.
Yeah, you pay.
Yeah.
You pay part of ad or not AdWords.
Yeah, AdWords.
AdWords to be first. But
Yeah.
outside of that, you can, if you have good SEO on your website, you can show up.
Maybe,
higher in-
but not consistently. It's
I-
not.
I
It's not. It's. I remember that one of my customers had it done before they talked to me, and they called me and they say, "Look, we're on the first page." I said, "Really? What do I look for?" And it was a word that had nothing to do with them, and a word that normally you don't even search for. And that brought it up. I said, "Who's going to look for you in this?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Remember, somebody had to type this word in order for this to come up. But this is going to make it easier for them now. Because now first page of Google is not going to be just the first 10. It's going to be the first
Well,
60.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but below the fifth solution, if it's not on that
Yeah,
five
you
top,
go,
I search again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think most people do.
right.
So it's not about that.
No,
it's
no,
just
no.
about they're updating the code on the page.
I know, but the claim can be made even easier. But these people that you're going to be on the first page. Yeah, you're number 58, but yeah, well,
They'll
but
need to change the marketing, and it will no longer be about pages, but you'll be in the top 50.
yeah, if
So,
they will.
yeah.
I don't know that they will. We'll see.
SEO has changed dramatically over the last couple of years.
Oh yeah,
It is a much different. It used to be, you could pay to be, you could pay somebody to get you highly ranked. Google has they've shifted away from that somewhat, but not completely.
and they're shifting.
For example, Amnon, your computers2know.com website,
Yeah.
because it's not mobile friendly, Google ranks it lower than everything.
Yeah, but the thing is that Google also, a few times when I was involved in SEO and stuff like that in Delta Force, changed their algorithm to actually sabotage these people that do it, that figured
Correct.
out a way to really do it legitimately, and they squashed them. So I don't know what that's going to do. It's just interesting. It's interesting. This has nothing to do with the little guys. A federal government plans to invest $1.5 billion to help spur a standards-based alternative to the gear at the heart of modern cellular networks. And the government agrees that there are economic and national security risks in having such equipment made only by a handful of companies overseas, with the most affordable products coming from China's Huawei. The most likely effort to benefit from this new funding is known as ORAN, Open Radio Access Network, which uses standard computing gear to replace what has been proprietary hardware from companies like Nokia, Ericsson, and Huawei. The federal government is kicking off the program with a public comment period, which will run through January 23rd. Funding for the effort was provided by the CHIPS and Science Act. The U.S. has largely banned use of Huawei devices over security concern amid deepening U.S.-China tension. I think in general, this is better. Even if they didn't ban Huawei, why limit the companies that produce that hardware for the communication industry? More companies means more variations of something that will work and maybe cheaper or better. I was reading it and I said, "Wow, maybe now companies that went away will come back." Right, Spence? Huh? What?
Sorry, I was sneezing before and I turned off
Yeah.
the mic. Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing. They're doing the same thing with chips. They want to have more companies producing chips, and that came out from the auto industry because they need them. Do the same thing here. Do the same thing for everything. I mean, we did away with a lot of our industries because we went to China or other countries. And it's fine to buy stuff from other countries. I mean, we're in a global economy, so to speak. But have people here able to make them able to produce for the local market.
I think if nothing else, the last couple of years has shown us how vulnerable our whole supply chain is.
Well,
Because I look at the system, look at what happened down in Moore County with the power going out,
yeah.
right? They shot up a bunch of distribution center equipment. What's the problem with that? They didn't have spares.
Yep.
They didn't have stuff waiting. This is very basic tech. There's a lot of automation built into the grid, but the basic part of it, the transformers are just they're not complicated devices, but we didn't have any.
Yeah.
So if we had this happen at multiple places around the country, would we
We did.
immediately run out of spares?
It did.
Yeah, I covered this on my show. This
I was
week.
just going to
There's
say.
been
Nick,
did you hear that, Amnon?
no, I did not, but I know that it's in your corner.
There's been there's been a lot more of these that have made
The news.
the news. There was one
Yeah.
up in the Jacksonville area at the beginning of November where you had a substation that was heavily damaged. Fortunately, up in Jacksonville, they were able to bypass that substation completely and get everybody back online, but it's still not operational. There's been a whole bunch of these, and that just goes to show you I don't know that there's an end all be all solution to this. I mean, what do? You have, if somebody wants to, commit an act of terror against an electrical grid, they can do it. I mean, there's not, what do you do? Have armed security at every single substation? I mean, that's not practical.
But you could have a plan.
They
had a plan. I mean, the fact that they were able to get the power, and I know that it wasn't quick by my definition or your definition probably, but they were able to get it resolved relatively quick.
We had an outage in Apex. This is a number of years ago, right after the reason I bought a generator. They had a substation blow up. That Apex Power is community power. They get their power from Duke. They don't produce any of their energy themselves. They buy it. So they had the substation that dropped the power off from Duke, transformer or whatever equipment blew up. None of it was in the state. Didn't have it. So they had to go and get it from out of state. It took 4 days for power to be turned back on because they didn't have spares. So just a simple thing like that, that's not a high technology thing. That's just having the part you need somewhere that you can get to it.
There were a few of those attacks on power stations in the Northwest also.
Yeah, Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
Northern
2013,
California.
there was a huge attack out in California where you had a group of snipers that they never caught, I'll mind you.
And just because of that, or because of this incident, I read about that. And they said
wild.
they think the people that did it were PSE&G employees trying to point out how vulnerable the grid
Yeah.
was.
And
Because
they
they wanted to-
literally quoted it inside job. That's how
Yeah, because
quoted
they,
it
said-
in
they
the
were trying to
article.
alert them to say this is a domino effect is going to happen. It's going to collapse the grid. Oh,
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yep.
Well, and we're now just talking about the physical threats of it, but something that's been talked about for a while has been the cyber or the digital
Mhm.
threats to our power infrastructure. I read a report on my show this week. It's a 2018 Department of Homeland Security report that Russian and Chinese entities had been into power grids in North America. Fortunately, they didn't do any damage, or they didn't, attempt to destroy anything, but that they had been in there and left traces that they were in there, which is, I would argue, look at the Colonial Pipeline. That was only a couple months
Yeah.
ago.
Yep.
That was a cyber attack that shut that down.
We need to learn from it. All right. Microsoft has released an out-of-band update to nudge users toward Windows 11 amid a migration pace that company executives would undoubtedly prefer is rather faster. The software giant is offering an option of upgrading to Windows 11 as an out-of-the-box experience to its Windows 10 22H2 installed base. The main aim being to smooth their path forward to the latest operating system. On November 30th, an out-of-band update was released to improve the Windows 10 version 2004, 20H2, 21H1, 21H2, and 22H2 out-of-box experience. They call it OOBE, UBI. It provides eligible devices with the option to upgrade to Windows 11 as part of the UBI process. This update will be available only when an UBI update is installed. I brought it many times. That computer that I'm using here is an 8th generation. It says that it's not Windows 11 compatible. And you guys brought up the fact that it's probably just needs to be reconfigured in the BIOS, that it has that, what is that chip?
EPM.
TPM version 2.
Yeah, I went and I looked and I Googled to find, and it's not a simple thing.
No.
I mean, I don't care because I'm not going to upgrade. I believe if it works, leave it alone. Windows 10 will work. But I'm talking
There's
about
something else that ties into this, by the way, probably from Nick's world of reporting.
Let me ask you a question though before Gal goes any further. You said you looked it up online and it wasn't simple. What did you?
I don't even remember. You had to go in here and do this and then click on that.
You literally just turn it on in the BIOS. If your computer supports it. If it doesn't support it, yes. But if your computer supports it, it's simply just a trusted platform. It's just an enable or disable option in the BIOS.
But my point was that I will probably be able to do it. I wanted to see how easy it is for somebody to do it. And for the lay person out there who uses a computer to go and have to do this, that's a no-no. That's not what I would call out-of-the-box experience.
And what I will submit to you is that your general consumer is not building a computer like you are anyway. So I don't see there's not as much of a. Well, for example, you've been upgrading some computers for some of your clients.
Yeah.
And what are they doing? They're buying new computers because they're ready to upgrade to Windows 11 and they've got older machines that they need to upgrade spec-wise. So it's kind of, most people don't do Windows upgrades. Only enthusiasts are doing those. A majority of people run the Windows install that their computer comes with until they get a new computer and then they get the new one.
That's true.
That's how
too.
the general
that's true. Yeah, that's true
Windows.
too. Yeah.
I'm sorry I cut you off.
What were you saying?
No. So this is probably a week or two, no, 2 weeks at least old, but um, with the holiday season kicking into gear and Black Friday deals for games, EA has been selling like crazy, especially with the World Cup, FIFA World Cup. They've been selling like crazy FIFA, the game, and the thing is that FIFA on Windows 11 is one of the first game where its anti-cheat engine is relying on the security features that Microsoft made mandatory for Windows 11. So all of those game enthusiast PC builders that have managed to upgrade their Windows 10 to Windows 11 without TPM, right? These people, they bought for 30, 40, sometimes $60 the game, and they will never be able to play it unless they downgrade their system to Windows 10, where it doesn't require TPM.
Interesting.
And you're looking online. Shai at first had a problem with the machine he's running, and there everything was enabled. It was just a matter of updating a driver, because there was also bugs in the TPM drivers, not passing Microsoft's test. The OS wouldn't recognize it. So there was this whole wave of suddenly people who have zero interest in machine security, right? Dealing with TPM related stuff because of this. The forums are littered with people not understanding, giving advice, wrong advice about how to solve this. It's bonkers.
That's my point. That's my point. That there are too many hurdles. That here's somebody. How long did it take him and you to get his machine to the point?
With Shai specifically, it's a new machine. It took me about 20 minutes to solve this.
Right.
He was struggling for a bit longer.
That's
right. But I can tell you that two of his friends, I helped them with this issue. One, we spent probably a total of 4 hours, no solution. Like no solution. I couldn't solve that because something is missing, and it's unclear what. Right.
Yeah.
And for another, we were lucky; it was resolved rather quickly. So it's a pain. It's a pain in the butt, and this is me going to the defense of this pain. The alternative, right, is the Apple model, where you have zero control of the hardware you buy. Right? That's the alternative. So this is the price we're paying for this type of freedom. Right? Things might not always work because it's depending on these open standards. It's depending on being able to bypass those open standards when you don't have the option, right? And so it's about responsibility, right? And either we give away our responsibility completely to the company producing the hardware and software, or we understand that we need to take responsibility of what we're using, right? And most people, I know they don't really care, but I think it's important that we do keep that control over what's ours and decision of whether to use it or not. So at least there's an option of still using Windows 10, right? But Windows 10 is going to
It's probably going to be there for a long time. Unless Microsoft figures out something. And I'm thinking about it. I said, Microsoft can probably
Microsoft at a certain point, they'll say we don't support it anymore. It's exactly like Windows 7. I mean, it'll happen. It will go away.
Yeah, it will. But it's going to be some time before it goes away because it's
probably another 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a long way.
Yep.
And hopefully by then, most people will be on Windows 11 anyway, or whatever comes after. But the thing is, Microsoft can also take a lot of this mystery out. I mean, a lot of what I was reading, I had to do through Windows. To go to the control panel, to click on this, to flip that, to do that. Hey, why don't you guys do it in one of your updates and make sure that the OS is ready for that TPM? And then
Well, they do provide an application that runs the tests for you.
the tests, but they
Most
don't.
people-
Yeah, but that's what I was doing actually. That's what